the protests in Egypt have entered their third week today. There was some sense of normalcy in Cairo as many returned to work, some banks opened, but thousands still are in Tahrir Square, Liberation Square, calling for the immediate ouster of President Hosni Mubarak. My next guest is well studied on the issues that make Egypt and its crisis so important for the region and for the global economy. Haim Malka is a deputy director and a senior fellow at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. He joins us now. Haim Malka, give us an update on what you are hearing in Egypt. The economy seems to want to go back to some kind of routine. Banks opening, the stock market yet to open. How long can those protesters stay in Tahrir Square and at the same time get the economy up on its feet?
That's a good question. The economy has taken a real hit, as you mentioned, and the government right now is trying to get people out of the streets, get them back to work, get them back to school, try to return some sense of normalcy in Egypt, in part so they can regain their control of the situation. But it's unclear how long those thousands of protesters are going to stay in the square and continue to make demands.
Haim, how much is this a battle against autocracy? We've heard for 30 years that President Hosni Mubarak has had a grip on the country through the force of the army and the domestic security forces. Is this going to change if there's a new leader at the top?
Well, it's unclear whether it's going to change. At the moment, General Omar Slimane is heading the transition. And Omar Slimane is somebody who came out of the military. He's very close to President Mubarak. He was the former head of the intelligence services before taking on his new role. So the question is, can someone like that, who's so much part of the old system, really oversee a transition to a more open, transparent, and inclusive system?
Now, it seems as though much of the contention has to do with the problems in the economy. You have a huge illiteracy rate, huge poverty rate, many Egyptians existing on $2 a day or less. Is there a possibility that a change in the way the government is organized could actually create some economic development?
Look, Egypt's been experimenting with economic liberalization over the last decade. They've tried to attract foreign investment. They've really opened up their economic system. They started exporting gas. So the economy on a macro level is doing much better. But that's not trickling down to the majority of people in Egypt, as you mentioned. But these are fundamental problems across the Middle East, across North Africa, and other countries in the region like Jordan and Syria, where you have deep socioeconomic problems. The demonstrations that we saw over the last month in both Tunisia and Egypt were partly sparked by socioeconomic issues, but they are also part of a broader and deeper problem of a lack of participation within these systems and people's marginalizations within these systems.
Isn't there also a demographic issue that so much of the population of the region is young and without work?
Sure. You have over a third of the population in the region between the ages of 15 and 30. And what's happened over the last few years, education has become more widespread, but the education and the job markets are delinked. And so people are being prepared for jobs that don't really exist in the private sector and in the job markets today.
Do you believe, Haim, that there is a relationship between, let's say, the number of patents or the number of startup companies or indeed even the number of Nobel Prizes that a country is able to produce? Is that linked to, let's say, autocratic government?
Well, I think in a more open society where you have more competition of ideas, then you have the opportunity to come up with technological innovation and other economic innovation. So there is a link.
What's the next country that we need to pay attention to in the Middle East? What's worrying you?
Well, I'm concerned about a number of regions, a number of countries in the region. Algeria has been facing instability and demonstrations, rioting for several years now. Morocco has some of the same socioeconomic challenges that we've seen in Tunisia and Egypt. Jordan also has a number of problems. And these countries are all taking different tacks, different strategies of how to deal with these problems.
All right, I want to thank you very much, Haim Malka, joining us from CSIS, the Institute for Strategic Studies.